There are 5.7 thousand higher education institutions in the U.S. charging way too much for something that is worth less than ever.
Bring out your dictionary because we're going to debate that wording. Okay, if they say it's...
Should it be worth fewer?
Or... Brilliant.
This podcast contains the arguably witty banter of two friends, Skippy and Dougals, that like to debate about investing. The content is intended to be entertaining and for informational purposes only, not investment advice. You should do your own research and consult a financial professional before using any of the information in this podcast, and especially before investing.
Soccer has taken over America.
Sorry,
America. I don't even know.
Movie.
Are Mexico and Canada even involved in this World Cup? Because all I see is America.
No, lots of people are raving about Mexican food in Mexico City. So.
No, they're raving about Taco Bell.
Well, I'm over in Europe at the moment, and the Taco Bell here, it has like this huge sign. It says like from California, basically. That's the whole selling. And then, funny enough, I've seen this at KFC. KFC makes Kentucky seem like a place people would want to go to. Sorry, Kentuckians. And Popeye's Chicken made it to Southern Europe, and they again make Louisiana look amazing.
Here, give me the response. This whole thing is way too long, but I want to get your response. Being that you are overseas and all, I want to know what you think.
Can we stop calling Americans uncultured because they haven't traveled outside of America? No, seriously. As a Brit in America, and if I lived here, I'm telling you now, I would never leave America for a vacation. America has everything. Every landscape you can think of, every weather you can think of, and you want it in America, you get it. You go to a different state. You go to the East Coast, you go to the West Coast, you go to the Midwest. America has everything. As a Brit, I live on a little island. I can take a 40-minute flight to a whole different country, right? I can do that because it's small. Americans don't need a passport. They don't need a passport. It doesn't make them uncultured because Americans can go on vacation, on holiday in their own country. I think that's so hard for a European mind to even comprehend that. But until you've actually been to America and you've experienced it firsthand, it is like nothing else. It's so vast and there's so much to see, you never have to leave America. Americans are not uncultured for not leaving America. They don't have to.
I want your take. As an America that's in Europe right now, I want your take.
Listen, let's just say there's room for everybody to go see everyone else and have tons of fun. Like 100%, you and I both got caught in the Twitter video sphere of all the European or Asian reviews of the towns, the Texas Roadhouses, the Applebee's, and it's amazing. And they say, Of course I'm gonna tip. The service is so friendly that I want to give my waiter extra money. Like, of course Americans are fat. Have you tasted these ribs? These ribs are amazing. There's free refills on everything. That free chips and salsa. It's lovely that people are getting out and saying hi to each other. It's lovely.
And of course the plumbing is better here. It has to be. It has to be. This is necessity, people.
If I had one recommendation, it is to stop listening to this podcast right now and go spend 20 minutes looking at reviews of America from people that travel there for the World Cup. It is the most hilarious. At this point, I don't believe they're true, but they are very entertaining.
Some have to be made up. I mean, because once something starts to become popular, then people just grab onto it. But regardless, lie to me, because I can't get enough of it.
This is better than any season of television that's come out in 2026.
Yeah. Stop watching Breaking Bad. Stop watching Mad Men. Just stop it and go to Twitter. Like, that's all that you need for the rest of your life.
I finally understand the SpaceX valuation. That's what's happening.
I ate Taco Bell and now I understand the SpaceX valuation. Today is going to be all about quick hits because there's nothing happening and so much being said. And so let's tackle some of the stuff that's being said. Where do you want to start?
Can we talk about an inheritance and how it ruins
yes.
families always? No, I'm being hyperbolic there. There's a breakdown. Again, this is Twitter's the source, UK couple, and it's written from their perspective of the grandson whose grandmother just died. And his parents are going to inherit 800,000 pounds. Let's call it $1 million, right? The number doesn't really matter. It's a decent chunk of money. He lives in a tiny flat and has not much going for him. He's struggling to get by. And he got this really, I think this is a bold idea, this really bold idea, because he knows his parents just inherited $1 million to be like, hey, is there any way, like, could I get an advance on some of this that might trickle my way in 30 years? Because it really helped me right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you pass some of that down? His parents have effectively said, no, we want to buy a holiday home in France so we can enjoy our retirement. Now,
it's their money.
It's their money. It's shocking on both sides, though, right? Are you a little sympathetic for the grandson in this situation?
I mean, I know I would not use the word sympathetic.
Okay.
My feeling is this. It's their money. It was your grandma's money. If the money, you should act as if the money didn't exist, especially if you're a grandson.
Mm-hmm.
I can get the feeling of there's this whole bucket of money out there. Can I get some of it? Sure. I mean, as a human being, I like get that in general, but sympathetic would be going way too far in my mind, because I just kind of feel like it's not yours. If something comes your way, that should feel like a bonus at best, but you shouldn't be upset if it doesn't. It's not yours.
I think the thing that's challenging for me, where I would be sympathetic, is you can probably have both in this situation. You could probably throw a little to your next of kin, still have a better retirement than you ever planned for, because I don't think his parents sat around. You don't know, right? One, his parents could think this guy's a total loser who doesn't deserve a dime from them because he
Most
hasn't
likely
worked hard, right?
I mean, that's the feeling I got from this. I don't even know the man.
Seems like it, right? And so,
or
in that,
is it a man or a
case,
daughter? I don't even know. I don't even know who it is. But regardless,
we're throwing shade. It's got to be a guy, right? So they might feel that way, but I do think there's middle ground here where everyone is better off. And the point I find fascinating is just this has been such taboo historically for the past 100 years, because 100 years ago, no one even got an inheritance, right? Maybe you got your farm or something, but not cash like this. If you got your farm or the dental practice or whatever, you were like, you had to choose to be a farmer in order to get the wealth that came with that. Now this is just cash. You can spend it however you want.
This could have been a situation where the parents get the money and they go, you know what? Let's send a little bit to Johnny. Like, why not send a little bit to Johnny? And then Johnny demanded it. They went, okay, well, never mind. Like,
let's send less than $0 to Johnny and kick him out of the basement. I made up that last
get
part,
out of Johnny. You are 50. Like, get out of here. I kind of, in all honesty, man, that's kind of how I do feel. Is I do feel like, to what you said, it would make sense. And you've talked about this before, and I agree. It would make sense for them to send more now when Johnny can actually, or whoever, can do something with it than later. And at the same time, Johnny should not think about it as their own. So if the parents decide to do it, then cool. If they don't, then Johnny should be like, cool, I got my own career or whatever. Like that's the way I feel. But I guess I could see, again, not sympathetic, but I guess I could see where you might want some. Why wouldn't you not want a pocket of money? Everyone wants a little pocket of money.
He wanted to get out of jail free card. And his parents said no.
There you go.
Right?
You're coming to my side now. I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Johnny, peace out. We've settled this debate. You lose.
Okay, let's go on to remote work now. So there's this op-ed in the New York Times. We liked remote work, then we looked at the data. That's the headline of this. And the data that they basically saw was that it hurts mental health because people are alone, you don't have as much interaction, and so remote work is not good for mental health. That's the high level theme. You tell me to stay away from the comments. I'm telling you, the comments on X on this thing, they just obliterated the woman that put this out there. There was ne'er one comment that I could find that said, oh, look at this interesting data. No, not one. Everyone was basically like, so you're telling me that it was better for my mental health to have a 2-hour commute every day than to not? That was 98% of the comments were some version of that. They're like, and then other people, the other 2% were people saying, if I rely upon work for social interaction and then I get laid off, now I still don't have any social interaction. So how is it better for my mental health to rely upon work for social interaction?
Okay. The reason you don't pay attention to the comments is because half the time they're Russian bots. But you chose to go there, so we have to talk about it. Okay. First of all, there is not a single comment that has more likes than the original article. So she didn't really get owned. Second of all, this is a piece of journalism and a piece of data that creates a political-like reaction, right? Religious-like reaction. People
Yes, that is true.
pick a camp. They decide that is the camp for them, and they can't see the facts on the other side. So the nuanced conversation is probably somewhere in the middle. Here's the problem. Any of these comments that says riding New Jersey Transit 70 minutes each way is worse for my mental health than remote work is like, dude, you chose to live 70 minutes away from your office. Like, maybe you should live in Kansas, dude, because that is a miserable life. You know what's been proven with data? That if you commute 70 minutes each way, you have a miserable life. So by all means, remote work's better than that. But no one told you to live 2 hours away. Like, no one told you that. Do you remember the Wall Street Journal? This was right during COVID. Right post-COVID, they documented people that had super commutes. Some of these people like lived in Ohio and worked in New York City. And it's just like, sorry guys, you missed the boat on life. None of this equation makes sense.
But that also might be more a sign of not what people chose, but of where you can afford to live and where you can afford to work. It may not be a choice. I mean, I think everything's a choice, but that's just my general view.
You personally believe that everything is a choice, first and foremost. But secondly, what humans are great at is optimizing the opportunities that are presented in front of them. And if the opportunity is you could work in New York City and live in Ohio, that opportunity is not a choice you should ever make. But I'm off topic here. I think just like investing, I think this is a complex topic. And what got left behind post-COVID, when everyone said this is the greatest thing ever, is advancement for young employees, is loneliness, is camaraderie, is the ability to move fast on a whiteboard. I know plenty of companies that have always been remote and are greatly successful companies. It's possible, but you almost have to build it organically from day one.
Yeah, design for it.
In my opinion.
You have to design for it. Yeah.
What I liked about this is simply the fact that we're looking at both sides and saying, this isn't all good.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't even hear, like, we've pretty much reverted back to the majority of companies expect people in office the majority of time.
Is that true?
I think so.
I haven't seen the data, so I don't know. I'm asking, like, is that a data-backed thing that you were saying? Or is it a feeling based, like anecdotal? Based on what you're seeing?
It's a feeling. Okay. So, this is funny because we're almost 5 years post all this drama, and the articles don't really get written anymore. Once Amazon went back and JP Morgan went back and, all the other big names went back effectively 5 days a week. Sorry, I'm generalizing there too. But there's much less buzz around this. So it's clearly still a very passionate topic for individuals, but I don't feel like it's nearly as popular as it used to be.
I do think, to your point, that you can have an organization, as long as it's designed for, that can be remote and successful. And I think that human beings were like engineered from the ground up, or it's in our organisms to be around other people. And so I think that in the remote work as a broad like way of working, I think could not be successful in the long term for the vast majority of organizations. But there's always, when I say vast majority, that could be 80%. That's just making up a number. If 80% of people really should work in an office and be around other people, that means there's 20% of people that it's not designed for, which is a large number. And so that is where, to your point, you can have both sides of the argument. I think that this particular human being that posted this on Twitter, I think set themselves up for failure because they had a thread of like 5 different things that ended with, and buy my book. And it was like, okay, like I think they just set themselves up for failure, which is probably why also there's so many negative comments, but still.
Okay, first of all, it's an op-ed in the New York Times. All of those end with buy my book. Second of all, medical research suggests, this is a quote, that social isolation has the same or, similar impacts to smoking 16 cigarettes a day. Like, the consequences here are real. And the 1% that's in the comments, some of those people have really healthy social lives and a 90-minute commute each way. That person is way better off in this situation. But your average person, do we need to go to all the stats about how challenging it is for adults in this country to make friends?
Yeah.
We don't. Your average person is better off with forced social interaction. And if you don't get that in the workplace, you better find a way to get it elsewhere.
Okay, here's one thing. Let me play this for you, because this is one other comment that I think is fascinating on this.
Scottish people have drank all the beer in Boston. There's none left. They went over about 4 days ago for the World Cup.
I mean, so what do you think? Well, what's your take on that, given the loneliness epidemic?
Again, stop listening to the show right now. Go to Twitter and watch these videos. He goes on to say that if I can't even do it, it's just really funny. People, I get in trouble if I say everything he says. Yeah, really funny.
Yeah, this is a show for children, so do not.
All right. Well, so what we learned today is remote work is something that people are passionate about. It always.
There we go. Yes. There we go. All right, let's go on to Syracuse and their enrollment situation. So I'm going to read just the beginning of this. Dear colleagues, I'm writing to share a candid update on our fall 2026 enrollment, the associated budget implications, and the work already underway to better position Syracuse University for the fall 2027 enrollment cycle. The headwinds confronting higher education are significant. Since the start of this decade, enrollment in U.S. colleges and universities has meaningfully declined. The number of 18-year-old high school graduates peaked at 3.9 million last year and will continue to decline annually for the next 15 years. What's your take on this whole thing?
This is mostly demographics, but it's a perfect storm tied to demographics. So there's less 18-year-olds than there used to be, right? So there's just a lower population of students. At the same time, you have a perfect storm with AI making white-collar jobs seem like they're not secure. And you have college tuition costs, which have gotten nothing but up for 30 or 40 years. And they've increased significantly more than the wages that are attached to those jobs, right? And on top of all that, when's the last time you were in Syracuse, New York?
It's been a long time. I don't know, 25 years or something.
Okay. It's not a town for everybody. Tough demographics in the town. And then the total average tuition cost, I just put this into Claude, is estimated more than $86,000 a year.
One thing you skipped, and I'm saying this not in a political way, just in like factual, is that we also have a stance in the country currently that is driving down international travel and international
100%.
desire. So the number of people, I think the last stat I saw was the number of international tourists to the U.S. was down something like 6% last year, which is very material. And the number was, I don't have this off the top of my head, but the number that I saw of international visa applications for people to come in for student visas was down even higher last year, the last that I saw, but I don't remember what the number was.
I'll cut to the chase. If I was hired as a college president tomorrow, I'd do my 90-day listening tour. And on the 91st day, I would say we are cutting tuition next year and the year after and the year after that. And then we're probably holding it flat. But whatever we have to do to make that work, which means you don't get insane cafeterias and ridiculous gyms. We don't have admin staff that makes up 50% of the payroll, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it is changing today because the demographics get even worse from here. And there's already websites that track these typically they're small schools in the Northeast, but all over the place. These small, non-memorable schools, I think you'd say, are already in a significant amount of financial struggle.
Yep.
And so you just have to do the math on the supply and demand. And we're at the point where prices need to change. Otherwise, because even though Syracuse will still exist 10 years from now, the calculus will be I could go to Rutgers or whatever, pick your school in the Northeast, Penn State, Virginia Tech, who knows, right? Or Syracuse. And one of them is going to cost a third of the price. Guess where people are going?
A third of the price.
Yeah. Funny enough, this ties into the conversation we had last week about how the calculus of Cornell doesn't really work.
Yep. However, what I get here's the data point, and this comes from the tweet that like gets my feathers in a ruffle, is when they say that the value of college is lower than ever. I disagree with that. I wholeheartedly disagree with it. I understand the sentiment behind it, but I hate when people, and I'm not using that lightly, I hate when people say that. I think it is a disservice to the vast majority of people
Who
when we
says
say
that?
things like that. It's in the tweet because they're saying they cite demographics and geopolitics, but the answer is much simpler. There are 5.7 thousand higher education institutions in the U.S. charging way too much for something that is worth less than ever.
Bring out your dictionary because we're going to debate that wording. Okay, if they say it's
Should it be worth fewer?
or brilliant, the actual diploma may be worth less, not than ever, but than in recent times, because there are tools that make the receiving of that actual diploma, especially for people that are in majors that don't require a lot of like in-person, old school, handwritten 3-hour tests, right? If it's writing papers and stuff, it's a lot easier than it used to be. It just is. So the value of that piece of paper, you can easily argue that it's worth less.
No,
Because
I can't.
You
all
hate
that
it.
all that you're talking about right now is what you get when you're sitting inside the classroom. Okay. I think that is like at most 15% of the value that you get from a college education. So yeah, can you learn the same things? Sure. Like you can learn the same things, but are you going to create the same types of networks? Are you going to understand how you learn? Are you going to understand critical thinking quite as well? Are you going to understand how to deal with different demographics of people from different backgrounds coming together? Like there's so much that you get from a college education.
I agree with you, but there's more to it than that. You have to show up and actually do those things.
Yeah, you do. Of course.
But not everyone does. Some people show up to get the bare minimum grades to get the piece of paper and don't know a single soul from their university.
Yeah, that is true. Nothing is inherently valuable or not valuable. Nothing. Like you could tell me that every week I get to spend an hour with Bill Gates, or like choose your person. You may not like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs back in his life, whoever.
Yeah.
You could say you get an hour of that. And if you took 100 different people and all gave them 1 hour a week with choose your figure, there are probably 5 that walk away and are forever changed from it. There are like 50 that walk away and like learned a thing. And there are a bunch of people that walk away and didn't get anything out of it. But it's how you deal with the situation. But that if that is the truth, I wouldn't say an hour with Steve Jobs every week is not valuable because some people did not get something out of it.
This is a tough day for me. I think you've won 2 of 3 arguments already. That you're 100% correct, unfortunately.
Boom, shakalaka. Okay, and I quote the great Martin Luther King: "Boom, shakalaka." Okay,
Just know that it's college enrollment is going down. Colleges are going to have tough times, and you should start negotiating your salary if you're sending kids there. Not your salary, the tuition. You should negotiate down. You should say, "Give me some made-up scholarships because I'm not paying list price." 100%.
Yep. Okay.
Can we talk about Dave Ramsey? Can we do it?
Oh, you don't think I already have this lined up? You don't think I already have this lined up?
Give me a 2-minute quick clip here.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's wrong with having a credit card if you pay the balance every month? Most people don't. Most people don't. That's the great lie. 78% of people don't. No way. And they all talk about how everybody talks about this theoretical discipline that they just freaking don't have. And so, wait, 78% roll the balance over month to month. Yeah. Just like 97% of the people don't pay a 30-year mortgage like a 15 so that it pays off in 15 because they promised themselves they would. We're going to take out a 30 just in case we need to let up, but we're going to pay it like a 15. 97% do not systematically prepay. And that's Federal Reserve statistics. I didn't make those numbers up. And so it's just this idea that we trust ourselves with this discipline that's really just simply not there. And so why? What's the purpose? What are you getting? Okay, if you're going to pay your credit card off every month, and you're really going to do that, then a debit card will work. Because there's money to pay the credit card off and you just use that money through your debit card. It's the exact same freaking thing. I mean, it's the exact same thing. Why don't people do that? Because they've been taught that they can't live without this, and that if you don't get airline miles, then as your, if you don't get 1% back on your Discover card, which this one tickles me. I keep people with a master's degree in finance. I got 1% back on my Discover card. So you're going to run $100,000 through your Discover card to get $1,000 back. On what planet does that build wealth? I mean, and under what math? I mean, did you get out of the 6th grade where you trade $100K for $1K and you call this a wealth building mechanism? That's just asinine, but this is, people make, supposedly sophisticated people will make this argument at me, and they have for 30 years. So I've got a
So
long
is your
career.
argument that they're just too dangerous? You just
There's no point. There's no point. It's not even that it's that dangerous. If you are paying it off every month, it's not going to bankrupt you.
Okay, so 2 things. One, I don't want to tickle Dave Ramsey, and I don't want to know what does tickle him. Okay. Second thing, did you know that 137% of people, I'm not making this up, this is a Federal Reserve statistic. No, you are making this up. It is not a Federal Reserve statistic.
I watched that this week, and I went, so one, we got to break it into like 5 parts because there's 5 things wrong with this. So we got to take it step by step. But I went, the guy that talks about personal finance for 3 hours a day, like, it's really polished. I didn't know those statistics off the top of my head. Well, really polished. The problem is none of them are true. Like, how do you get them wrong?
And just to be clear, when you say none, you mean 0% of the things that he said.
0% of those are true. So, so first, credit card owners that carry a balance, Federal Reserve data shows 46% of credit card owners carry a balance. This is data from 2024. I'm not telling you to have a credit card. Most people should not have a credit card. Most people get caught on the slippery slope, and it's bad for you. Okay, I'm not doing that. But having made up statistics that are false is bad. I do not support that. Step number 1. And step number 2, this.
Oh, sorry. I love how many times it was repeated. Like, Tucker Carlson comes back and repeats it and says, really? Go on.
Oh my goodness. So then this 97% mortgage prepayment, basically no one in the world is trying to pay off their mortgage in 15 years. Like, basically no one. Okay. So even if your statistics are right, which no one can find this data point, it does not appear to exist. And if you talked about this and had courses and sold books, you'd think maybe you had your sources listed on your website. That would make sense. But
this stat, at least for me, the stat, like, I believe it, that 97% of people don't pay a 30-year mortgage, like a 15-year. Sure.
Because 95% of the people have no interest. That's not the game they signed up for. Okay. Like, I have a 3% mortgage. Okay. I fully believe that paying off your mortgage matters a lot more psychologically than it does on a spreadsheet. And so I might pay off that mortgage early, but the math of someone who has a 3% mortgage says that would be an idiotic thing to do. Again, I'm not trying to get into that argument, but it's just, sorry, it's wrong.
Yeah. If you gave me I'm just rounding numbers up, but if you give me like a $500,000 3% loan for my life, I go, okay. Like, and the interest rate is higher than that, like, that I could get on like a basic savings account right now. Oh, okay. Like, it doesn't, again, to your point, the spreadsheet, it does not make sense. Psychologically, maybe it could. And maybe at retirement or something like that, like, maybe it does because of the psychology. You might just be like, I just want to be debt free. Cool. But it does not make sense.
It's amazing psychologically. Okay. Then the third point is this, this rant about airline miles and credit card points. One, who in their right mind gets 1% cash back? Like, I would have to try. I can't imagine getting 1% cash back. I would use a debit card at that point.
I don't know. And it's interesting because he chose Discover, which I feel like is like the highest from a cashback perspective. Like, they have my Discover card, which I don't use my Discover card as much as other ones, just for other reasons, but it's like 5% that you end up getting back depending on what you.
Well, to use his numbers, right? My card gives me 3% cash back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And 3% cash back on his number of $100K spent. Sure. It's only $3,000, right?
That's a lot of $1,000.
You know how many people he tells to start investing $3,000 in the stock market? And that's life-changing? Like,
yeah.
What if that's on top of your 20K, with your 10K or your 20K or your 50K that you're already putting aside? Like,
in what world is that a wealth building mechanism? In this world. Like, in this world. You don't have to look that far. You don't need SpaceX to build rockets to take you anywhere. in this world.
So I will try and wrap with like the concept of teaching personal finance. I'm all for. And I wish there was more of this. I wish there were more Dame Ramsey like folks, but that were completely honest about it. For example, the mutual funds he recommends have really high fees. Those high fees that go to a lot of the people he employs. Like, there is room to do this, room to be smart about paying down debt, room to be smart about choosing debit or credit cards, and to do it honestly in a way that's not hoodwinky. And I don't know why we have to have someone with this much notoriety saying things that appear to be lies, like blatant lies. It's unfortunate. So
yeah, I don't know if he's lying or just doesn't know, but either one is highly questionable because it's your
is it
entire
like 40
job.
years of talking about this for 3 hours a day on the radio? How could you not know?
I don't know. Okay, so we move on.
Moving on. Yeah.
All right. We don't have to spend too much time on this one because we've covered versions of this so much in the past. But there was this New York Times piece. Here's the title: "Wages are falling, wealth is surging. No wonder Americans are unhappy." I'm going to read the second paragraph on this. On Wednesday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the surge in energy prices had wiped out a year and a half of wage gains for the average American worker. On Friday, the public markets debut of SpaceX made Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire.
Which isn't actually true, remember, but that's just a factual point that I only believe at this point because
Dave Ramsey says Elon Musk is the world's first gazillionaire.
Yeah, he's sorry. On Elon being a trillionaire, he's a trillionaire based on the value of his SpaceX stock, which he's actually by law not allowed to sell.
Yeah,
amazing. I'm a trillionaire based on this number I wrote on a piece of paper in front of me.
It's like it is impossible for you to get that money by law. But the basic, it goes on, it gives quotes from different economists and whatnot. He's basically saying that, just like the title states, like, it is no surprise that the average American would be unhappy in a scenario where you have so much wealth that is being generated in the stock market, but their day-to-day living is getting wiped out before their very eyes. To me, that sums up so much of the sentiment in the country right now. No matter what you're talking about, I think it sums it up. We put it under the guise of many different types of headlines. We put it under the guise of like political policies and all this stuff. But in the end, I think that is what everything comes down to.
Agreed. My boy Ben Castleman wrote this article, and shout out because it was really good. I won't read, but I'll paraphrase the second to last paragraph. He talks about AI related investments carrying the economy and the advantage of that with how that's supporting people's 401ks and their college savings. But the flip side is that AI feels like it's going to take those same individuals' jobs. So whether it's win-win, feels more like a lose-lose to me. It's like AI is either going to be really successful and I'm going to be jobless. That's the emotion that's tied to this.
Yep.
I'm jobless, but I might be able to send my kid to college, right? Or AI bubble pops and my 401k gets hit, my college savings gets hit. Maybe I keep my job, maybe I don't, because when the AI bubble pops, like, all these electricians, all these people that are riding the AI wave with data center build-outs and whatever else are out. It's a very interesting time. I don't remember something that parallels this exactly, although all potential bubbles have something that rhymes with this, maybe.
Yeah. It's the extremity. I don't know if that's extremeness. I don't know what the right word is. What is the right? I don't know what the right language is, but we are at a point right now. It's why it feels different. I hate using that word because it's always the same as different, but why it feels different to me is because things are at such extremes. That's why it feels different. The inequality from a wealth perspective is higher than it has been. I don't know, maybe not in history, but like, it's so concentrated right now. Was it in this piece or was it something different that was comparing us to the Gilded Age of America? It's this piece.
I'm trying to find the exact language. Yeah, he estimates that The fortunes of about 20 of the richest individuals make up 4 times as large a share as they did for the top 1% of the Gilded Age. That's a complicated stat, but basically 20 individuals might be equivalent to the annual output of 12% of GDP. It's crazy.
It's that level of extreme. And it's not hard to see it day to day as well, especially with all the social medias and everything. Like the things that you can see that people are doing or not doing with money that does not feel relevant to your day to day also is, or at least feels extreme. So that is why, to me, it seems different today than it used to be. And going back to the social media point, you can see it. You can just see things everywhere, whether they're true or not. You can see how people are quote unquote living, whether it ends up being true or not. You see these things. The Joneses are everywhere.
The Joneses are everywhere.
The Joneses are everywhere.
Speaking of social media, this is the last thing in my fishbowl. It's totally bonkers. Not really related to investing at all. Did you see the UK might do the same social media ban that Australia has done, where there's effectively no social media allowed for people under 16?
Did I see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think would happen if one country did a similar experiment, and only an experiment? Maybe they do it like once a month, where Friday and Saturday nights, social media turns off for the entire country from like 4:30 in the afternoon until midnight. Like it's really heavy-handed, but how different do you think the environment might be at the bars and sporting events and places where people gather if there was like this unique change in the dynamic of what media people were allowed to consume?
Here's what I'm gonna answer that with this anecdote. Okay, there was an incident in the last week of school at my son's school where a group of kids did some nonsense, kid stuff. These children that got in trouble, what their parents did as punishment was took away their phones, and they couldn't use their phones. They couldn't hang out with friends for a little while. The texts that we got from this group of parents were like, my kid is cooking with me now. We hasn't done that in years. Like, we are having conversations. We're consuming media together and talking about it. Like, this is what happened like during this situation. So my answer to that is, what would occur is we would get humans back. We would get friends back. We would get kids back.
I don't like the government being all up in my business and telling me what I can and can't do, but I would love to live through, I might be being too strong. I'd be fascinated to live through that social experiment to see how different my town might be on Friday night. I think. And if you did something like that, obviously 6 months later, you'd have people vote on if that's something they like or not, and everyone would vote it down in it. But I just would love to see more psychological experiments around these things. I feel like we're really good at things that are clearly called medicine, or things that are clearly called, I don't know, explicit entertainment or whatever. Like, I'm just trying, but we haven't done any testing on this. And it's interesting that the rest of the world seems to be doing some like A/B testing on it.
We are not in a place right now as a country where we're thinking about what is best for the people in the country. Other countries seem to be doing, not every country, of course, but I see other countries that seem to be asking themselves that question and trying things to figure that out. It's just like not where we are as a nation right now. I'm not even trying to make that political. I'm just saying, like, it feels to me like we're much more in a place of maybe being like too comfortable. Not for people's everyday life, like we were just talking about, but I mean, like, as a nation, like it's like the person at school that like has everything, and so now you're trying to like figure out what to do with yourself because there's no drive to try and like make yourself better. But instead, like I think that's kind of where we are, and so we're not even. I really don't think we're even thinking about things like that.
Well, that's my frame of reference too. If it's universally assumed that X, not necessarily social media in this case, but some substance or some activity is horrible for people under a certain age, like, should we also be thinking about what it does to people of every age? And
probably
build in breaks.
Probably.
Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us for the quick hit episode. We were all over the place. Please go watch some World Cup videos. And congrats to the U.S. on making it through the first round.
That's right.
Two
right.
wins in a row has not happened since 1930, Douglas.
It is 2 wins in a row. And have you seen it's all speculation at this point because anything could happen, but have you seen the potential path that we have to the semifinal?
I have seen the potential path, and I want to know what our Timu Russell Crowe, you get that joke? Coach,
We didn't even get to that one. So congrats, US.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.